Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the guest slot here on Wild Wisdom Wellbeing. It's me, Robin Harris, and today I have the lovely Jessica Fletcher of our local coffee shop, Bean and Bread in Abergavenny, which is my go-to place. I don't go anywhere else now, to be honest. Jessica and I met through networking, and I just loved what she has done in setting up this coffee shop and having lots of vegan options in the menu, which obviously works well for me. So I thought I'd invite her on to talk about all that she does there in Bean and Bread. So Jess, if you would start just by telling us maybe a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for having me on, Robin. It's a pleasure to come and actually talk to somebody other than my bubble at the minute. So it's really nice to be invited. So I'm Jessica, and I'm originally from Newport in South Wales. Basically, the reason I suppose I am up in Abergavenny at the minute is because of my business, Bean and Bread. But prior to that, I kind of travelled around the world. Notably, I went to New Zealand for a couple of years, where I fell in love with coffee and coffee culture. And whilst I was there, I worked for the government, tackling truancy with the Maori culture, which was extremely interesting. And I lived in Wellington, New Zealand, so I absolutely loved that. That was such a valuable experience for me. And then, when I come home, I was kind of like humming and ahhing on what to do. And I did apply for a couple of government jobs, but I didn't really get anywhere. And I think that was like steering me to kind of do something a little bit different. I've always been like attracted to Abergavenny, and I came up here and I found the perfect premises, and that kind of led me and then to where I am today. So that's a little bit about me. Also, in terms of my personal life, I've got a little boy who's 18 months, Jesse. So that's been kind of a little bit of a whirlwind the last 2 years, having a business, bringing Jesse up, and with everything that's going on with COVID. But yeah, it's looking positive for the future. So I'm trying to remain optimistic. So yeah.
But you were talking about COVID there. You have done great things with Bean and Bread, even during the whole pandemic stuff. And you were revamping the whole place. You did a whole lovely new layout. Well, not so much layout, but refurbishment of the property, because it's beautiful. It just to tell people who maybe have never been, it's got the most lovely atmosphere. It's really just chilled, and everybody's so friendly and welcoming, and there's lots of plants everywhere, and and lots of plugs and sockets where you can do work as well, because you've had meetings and things, haven't you, in Bean and Bread?
Yeah. So kind of like going back to why I started the business. When I was in New Zealand, I kind of fell in love with coffee before I went out there. I think like maybe a lot of teens or people in their early 20s are not that into coffee. And I kind of gave it a go, and I was pretty much hooked by both the taste of the coffee and the culture out there with coffee shops. So I didn't really at that point have a dream of opening my own place, but I suppose I fell in love with it so much when I came home, I realised what was missing in my local community. And that led me on then to exploring that route. But basically, Bean and Bread, I suppose I brought so much back from New Zealand with me in terms of I wanted to create what I felt out there when I sat in a coffee shop. And I just absolutely love like the vibe of, just being calm and being with friends and hanging out for as long as you possibly can, drinking like amazing coffee. And like you say, being like in that environment where you feel maybe that you're transported to another country like New Zealand or Australia, and you're not necessarily, in maybe Wales, although I do like to bring that into it as well. So that's where it kind of stemmed from. But I love, I've really tried to encourage the community coming together in the coffee shop, like where we met Robin when I did the women's networking. I've done yoga in the coffee shop in the mornings, which was absolutely amazing to just be in that environment and then have a coffee and some brunch afterwards. And a lot of people actually come in and just sit there on their laptops and do their work, and they're pretty much there all day, just like we're topping them up with coffee, because I think it's so calm and they can actually do tricks. I think in some places that you know, when you're sitting there, you have to really kind of like zone out. And I feel like they can do that in Bean and Bread, which is really important to me, for it not to feel like a hectic atmosphere, you know? So,
Very definitely. I've been one of those people sitting at kind of the breakfast bar bit that you have and just working away on my laptop, because it really does allow concentration. I've tried working in other coffee shops and it has been a struggle, but in Bean and Bread, you just want to stay all day. You don't want to leave. But at the same time, it's you've managed to get just the perfect ambiance where you can sit and work and concentrate and focus if that's what you want to do, or you can sit at one of the tables and just feel really chilled and really relaxed, and like you say, sit there and drink coffee for as long as you want. You've got the soft furnishings, you've got the fire, you have beautiful decorations at Christmas. Because I've been, you know, fast food joints or other coffee shops where you just feel drink your coffee and go, but in yours it's very much, no, it's a place to meet with friends, it's a place to chill, it's a place to hang out. So I love what you've created there.
Cool. And I think, you know, that goes for, you know, it's kind of like when you create your home and the design of your home, you kind of want it to be somewhere that you just want to be forever and you just want to stay there and hang out, you know. And it's the same thing with Bean and Bread. I want people to feel like they could just, you know, sit there and, you know, even take pictures. Like, if the Instagram kind of world now and social media is absolutely exploded, and I think that's such an important aspect for businesses to hone into, but as well, you know, kind of feeding everyone who wants to come in and take pictures and pop it on their Instagram or on their Facebook. That's such an important aspect of it as well. And I think, you know, plants and you know, colors, like I've done my bathroom right now into like this big, like colorful area that people want to go into and just take selfies in the bathroom, you know, and it's little things like that make people happy, and that's why they want to come to us and hang out with their friends. So
and I love that you've got all of those little touches, and I've seen some of the photographs that you've got on your Instagram, some that Clara has taken, and there really just is a very distinctive feel. You really have a branding to your business in that respect. And I love that it's really just connecting with people. So all of those things, like you say, that home kind of sense, that kind of kutch. I love that kind of sense of, I can just be, it's like having a space of, you almost have ownership. You feel so comfortable in that space that you've created, and connecting in with friends and connecting in with culture and connecting by just taking a photograph of a delicious cronut that you seem to specialize in, sending that around. I've never met a cronut until I went to Bean and Bread.
But yeah, no, for sure. I do think that that is a very important aspect of it. And like, you know, in terms of not just the design of the coffee shop, but we're kind of bringing other things in now and working on, for instance, sustainability, becoming plastic free, and working to improve our footprint with that. And I think as well, educating our customers on that and bringing them along with in the journey is really important for us. And I'm always looking at ways to kind of, you know, move the business forward and kind of be a lead there in that coffee shop industry, especially for Abergavenny, because unlike places like Cardiff, Bristol and London, they're always a step ahead of the game, you know, and I think it's important to keep up with trends that way, and ways to kind of make sure we're doing what's best for the environment, especially now, you know.
Definitely. And you certainly are such an entrepreneur. You're always thinking of new things, but in a very nice and organic and gentle way, because some places just do new for the sake of new and feels a bit kind of uncomfortable. You have to settle into it. But with yours, it just seems to flow.
Yeah, I think it's quite, I suppose where I set up the business, you've got to be a little bit careful with kind of just putting things on people quite quickly. People have got to take time to get used to it. And I think with the brand, that's happened in itself. Like when I opened it, I think a couple of people were a little bit reluctant to try us out because we were 80% vegan. But as time has gone on, you've seen that, you know, as soon as people have come to us and tried our products and our food and our drinks and our smoothies, they've loved them and they've really enjoyed them and they've probably surprised themselves, you know. So yeah, and in that way, with the, you know, the plant packaging and things like that, I suppose. I mean, even before I really looked into it because of the business, I didn't know much about the whole recycling and all the different kind of ways that you can work to improve your footprint, you know. And I think it's so important that we try and educate, like I say, our customers more on that, and make sure that they know what we're giving them and how they can use that in their homes and recycle it and move that forward. Especially now, because we're doing a lot more takeout food. I think that's incredibly important, because there's so much that we're kind of purchasing from companies that we want to support because they're doing a good thing, and then bringing that into our space and then moving that forward with our customers. So yeah, for sure. And, you know, with our takeout, talking about takeout menu, we've recently launched a 100% plant-based menu for Veganuary, but we're actually continuing it now into February because we're still in lockdown. And, you know, we've actually it's been very well received, and a lot of people have come in, and I've tried to kind of, you know, get them round to thinking, you know, it's going to taste good, because I think as soon as people think it's plant-based or vegan, something switches in their mind and they kind of think, oh, it's, you know, not going to be very tasty. But yeah, they've tasted it and they've loved it. They've come back for more, and I think that's what it's about. You know, a few people have said, are you going to continue with the 100% plant-based? And it's something that maybe in the future I would definitely do, but I think it's also important to emphasize that, you know, we don't have to be 100% vegan, and we don't have to be 100% plant-based. You know, you've got to have that balance, and don't feel guilty about that. The reason I did 80% vegan coffee shop was purely because I thought, you know, it's nice to have a little bit of something else on the menu, and, you know, not everyone's going to fancy plant-based food, and it's kind of offering a menu that will cater to most people. So yeah, but I've been really chuffed with how everyone's been coming in and trying all of our new food, and I think we're definitely on the right path there with the plant-based, because a lot more people now will be switching up their diets, even if it is a couple of days a week or a few days a week, and swapping that out for meat. It's a good thing. So yeah.
And I think that, like you say, people are becoming so much more aware. And I was on a networking meeting the other day where somebody was sharing that fossil fuels seem to be on the way out as well. People are choosing, and, you know, more renewable fuels, and they're outselling the fossil fuels in many ways now. Good morning, Beverly. We've got Beverly Jones joining us, one of my networking contacts. She runs the Awaken business group along with Roger Daniels, who's been a guest on here before. And Beverly is local. And when I mentioned that I was inviting you on today, she said, oh gosh, got to try bean and bread. So yeah, lovely to have. Yes, don't knock it until you try it. Absolutely. I think people are going to start trying out these plant-based foods and realizing that now they don't have to be, as you say, what they had the reputation of being a bit cardboard and not very tasty and probably quite dry, but not now. No. Veganism has come on a long way. People have realized how to cook properly in a plant-based diet. And once they taste your cakes, they won't want to go back. They'll know that they can live on a plant-based, it doesn't have to be, as you say, 100%, but a plant-based diet without having to compromise at all. My husband, who is a complete carnivore, cannot live without his meat. Loves bean and bread, loves your vegan foods. So if he's convinced, then I'm not sure he's ready to give up his meat just yet. But if he's convinced that vegan food is completely edible, then
I think that is definitely half the battle, really, because if you kind of say 10 years prior to now or previous to now, a lot of people who would have opened vegan cafes or restaurants, not so much restaurants, maybe cafes, they would have been doing things like Linda McCartney sausages and, you know, products like that. Whereas for us, we're not concentrating on replicating meat. We're concentrating on, you know, looking at, you know, beans, pulses, you know, all those kind of things that we know taste good, and emphasizing that with the like herbs and spices that we use. And I think it's kind of, definitely moving away from that and moving on to just fresh, local kind of plant-based foods, for sure.
I love your whole sustainability. So you're mentioning, I mean, we talked about the plastics and the packaging, but just even talking about having local foods, that they
Yeah,
don't have all of that travel
yeah,
involved.
no, for sure. Like, and I think that's something that has definitely been highlighted during the coronavirus. Is that, you know, we want to shop as local as we possibly can, supporting everyone around us, and we've definitely honed in on that, and it's given us time during the lockdown to kind of like look at our suppliers and ensure that we're getting as much as we can from local farmers and things like that. All of our micro herbs are from a Langton's farm in Crickhowell, smoked salmon from Crickhowell, our eggs and our dairy as well. From a farm in Raglan. So I definitely think this lockdown in a way has been, there's been a silver lining for me to be able to move my business forward in ways that maybe I couldn't have when I was open and just busy, you know. And definitely I'm really excited for the spring summer now, where we can introduce more exciting meals and work with like-minded businesses and collaborations and work on getting the community more involved, for sure.
And it's interesting, you were talking there about how COVID and the pandemic and the lockdown have given us some opportunities, and they've also helped us to understand, especially at the beginning when industry calmed down, there was less travel, we could see the air was clearing, and we could begin to understand more deeply what we're doing to the planet, and that we need to be more sustainable. And obviously this is coming at just the right time. There's a wave with the Perfect Planet show on television and the lockdown. But then things kind of began to shift a little bit, with so much being that you had to have everything wrapped individually, and it was all wrapped in plastic to reduce the risk of transmission of the virus itself. And that got me a little bit worried. I was thinking, here we have all these positives that are coming from coronavirus, and here things are going maybe not the way we'd all hoped, though I can understand why. So it's great to see that there are companies out there like yourself who are looking into the packaging, looking into the alternatives, because they are there, and also doing that education.
Yeah, and I think it is definitely, you know, a happy medium with it, because, for instance, with the plant-based packaging, that would be, you know, a lot more expensive than your average plastic packaging. And I think customers need to understand then that for a business, it's difficult to kind of, you know, outlay that cost without, you know, figuring out how we're going to make up for that. So it's difficult, and I mean, with me saying I would love to go plastic free, it's not as easy as it sounds, because there's so much that you use and you don't realize within a business, especially, that you've got to kind of figure out alternatives to that. But there's definitely ways, and there's businesses that I'm looking up to and kind of seeing how they're doing it, which is great that I've got businesses like that in other countries to kind of see what they're doing. But for sure, I agree with you there. I think it's definitely we've got to be clever about it, and kind of work together as well. I mean, there's, you know, sometimes you feel like you do something as a business or an individual, and you kind of want to know that the community are trying just as hard, or we're all kind of collectively working to reduce that. But that's definitely something that I'm going to be working on as a business now in 2021. I think that's where we should be going, and I think with climate change more visible, we need to be on it, for sure.
And there's a guy I met who was all about the bottom line, and he was saying businesses need to have a triple bottom line. So it's not just the financial side, but it's the well-being of our staff, because we're very aware now that people's well-being is important, and that businesses can't ignore that. That is something that goes part and parcel with the sustainability and the well-being of your business as a whole, but also the well-being of the planet. So that we are thinking green, that we are thinking sustainable, that we're reducing waste, whether that's food waste, plastic waste, whatever kind of waste, and how we're using things. So that education and bringing the customers along with you, I think that's amazing. I think that you're covering all of that, really, aren't you? You're looking at business and entrepreneurship and keeping up with the trends, but you're also thinking of how can I bring the people together and have that community and connection, and how can I keep everything sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not an easy feat. Kind of, you know, you've got to keep on top of all the trends and your social media, and in a way that's the most important thing, because you're kind of getting business back from that, but then you want to be doing it for the right reasons, you know. So and back to when you said about staff, you know, I've tried to be as supportive as I can during this time, because I know that especially when, you know, you're at home, you kind of get into that go into your own shell, I suppose, and it's very difficult then to get out of it, you know. So that's really why I opened the business back up, so that I could have my team kind of come back in, and I've put it out there that if anyone wants to come in and work a couple of shifts just to get out of the house, then they can do, you know, because I felt like getting out of the house for a couple of days a week has been so good for me. Seeing people, and I think even for my customers coming in and just getting that coffee and having a little chat and then leaving. And some people might not agree, you know, and might say that it's not really essential for us to be open. But I feel like for people who might be struggling and they just need that out for, you know, 10-15 minutes, is so incredibly important. And we're both gaining something from it. You know, I'm not necessarily making much money from it, but I feel like it was the right decision, and I'll keep doing it until we can open, you know. And it's great for us as a business in Abergavenny, just so people know we're there. And I think that's really important to know, you know, they're open today, so I can go in and have a coffee and a vegan cake and a natter, and yeah.
Yeah, and we're very fortunate, aren't we? Being in Abergavenny, you talked about the wonderful suppliers that you are able to use being based here. There's a lot of growth of fresh vegetables and things like that. You've got the salmon crick howl, but also that it is a real community spirit here. It's a nice little market town, and people are friendly, and they kind of, if they don't know each other, they'll know somebody who knows somebody. And that idea of just having people, giving them the chance to come in, to get out of the house, to get connection. And I know that you take all the precautions with the PPE and the hand sanitizer. Yeah. So you're setting everything up, but also giving that mental well-being support as well. And that's ties in nicely with this Thursday being Time to Talk Day.
Yes.
Because we need to be aware our mental health is so much a part of our overall well-being.
It is for sure. And I mean, so many customers like who are coming in, they're just out on their walk, or you know, they just nip in to Morrison's and getting some bits and popping over to us. And I just feel like, because there wasn't much open in town, and there still really isn't much, that it was something that I just had to do sooner rather than later. Because I mean, for me, I think that I, you know, could have benefited from the time off to catch up with the business and things like that, and how we're going to move forward in the spring and summer. But yeah, I just I definitely think that it's been worthwhile, and for sure, like, there's so many people that have come in and stuck around for about 20 minutes, half an hour talking, because I think they're just so relieved to talk to someone other than their boss. Because yeah, you know, that's all it's been pretty much all of Christmas, and then prior to that, in the summer, before summer, you know.
Yeah, and I think we've really missed that sense of community, that sense of connection. And if somebody lives completely on their own, they don't see anybody. We were all geared up for this Christmas that we were going to be able to get back together with friends and family, and then obviously that wasn't able to happen. And even for those who live within a family, if they're just seeing the same faces again and again and again, and sometimes feeling rather cooped up and a bit of cabin fever stuck in the house, it's so good, like you say, just to get out and see somebody different.
Yeah.
And feel that connection.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you've got on for this month. I know that this month is Valentine's month.
Yeah. So basically, we've been doing, as I mentioned before, our plant-based menu, which is takeaway only. And then we kind of thought that, you know, with people not having much to look forward to, not being able to go out and sit in restaurants and things like that, that it would be nice to do a brunch in a box. And we know that a lot of businesses around us are doing kind of dinners and things like that. So we thought, let's be a little bit different, see if people will go for it. So I put a little poll out on Instagram, and actually a lot of people went for it. So yeah, so basically it's just a typical brunch, typical bean and bread, but brunch in a box with some hard cookies and some bubbly or coffee if you'd rather. And just people come and collect it and go home and enjoy. And yeah, it's kind of like you don't have to bother yourself, and like I say, something to look forward to. You can unwrap it. It's like a little gift, and it's a way of people, having been and bred at home, and yeah, so that's what we thought we'd do for the 14th, which is pretty exciting. And then we're just continuing, like I said, with our plant-based menu all the way through until we can open for sit-in. And yeah, we'll just decide then how we're going to like mix up the menu a little bit. I love kind of changing up the menu just because I know we've got a lot of regulars who like to try different things, and we've got a lot of regulars who love the same thing when they come in as well. But I think changing up our takeaway menu has definitely taught me that, people like to see some change, and I think with the new year and hopefully, things getting better, it'll be nice to definitely mix it up a little bit, for some excitement for when everyone comes back and to visit us.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to gently easing into new things.
Yeah,
And obviously with the spring coming, the longer days, the warmer, hopefully drier weather, it'll be really nice. And you've got a lovely little outdoor area as well, which my husband and I, when you did the cocktail evening,
yeah,
back earlier last year, we went down and we sat outside in the evening, and we were saying it's like being on holiday, because
yeah,
we were very fortunate. It was a nice evening, and just sitting outside, which we don't often do in this country, was so lovely.
yeah. It is. It kind of, and I think with the cocktail evenings, that we started back in, I think it was beginning of September. I think that kind of brought a little bit of a different vibe to being and bred. And yeah, I remember sitting outside as well at some point when we were doing them, and I kind of thought this is really nice vibe, really nice feeling, and it was only a blip that we kind of did it, which I was gutted about. So I was so excited to do kind of the cocktails around Christmas time, but I'm definitely excited about the spring, summer, and with the outside seating, we're kind of working on putting a canopy and some heaters outside so that people can feel a little bit more cozier in the colder months, which will encourage people who may not be so comfortable with coming inside after the lockdown's lifted, and they can sit outside and still enjoy what we've got to offer. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I think we're all kind of we're just kind of focused now on the spring, summer, and we're thinking that's kind of going to be our time. And it's been such a dreadful year for hospitality. I count my blessings really that we've kind of survived it, because I know a lot of companies haven't. And just for the support, really, I feel like in Abergavenny, with the countryside and the fresh air and the space, like so many people are more willing to kind of venture out maybe for a walk and a coffee, compared to whether we would be in like a city. And I think that's kind of worked in our favour. And yeah.
Definitely, I think it's so easy where you are to swing by, get a takeout, and go to a park or up one of the viewing points, say up on top of the Blorens, the Fox Hunter viewing point, and have that space and the outdoorness, but with something really nice and warming and tasty to eat, which is so lovely when we're in the middle of the winter, we're in the middle of a pandemic, everything looks kind of doom and gloom. So to have that little bit, and I was just thinking earlier as well, you've covered nurturing and nourishing on all levels, both physically and emotionally, and just that general connection and community and well-being side of things as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like a lot of people, which has surprised me because they've taken snaps of our coffee and smoothies and food after they've come and got them from us, but they've all kind of gone out to parks and made sure they were kind of in nature rather than going back home, which says something. We're all kind of desperate to just be outdoors and be outside for as long as we possibly can, which is really nice actually, because it gives us some nice snaps to repost on Instagram of the beautiful Abergavenny scenery. And it's good to know that people are kind of like, getting out if they wasn't going to get out. Otherwise, it's kind of a reason to get out and then kind of go for a nice walk and whatnot. And, you never know, it could be doing a lot for somebody who would have otherwise just sat at home and kind of spent their day at home a little bit down, or.
And in the times that we have been able to be social outdoors, that's nice as well. You can still kind of meet up with somebody for a coffee, though it might be outdoors instead of sitting inside.
Yeah, for sure. I think it means, you know, for especially like you say, for people who live on their own, even just coming in, like bumping into a friend, or you know, seeing someone along the path, and it's just life's little pleasures, isn't it? Just grabbing a coffee and having a little natter, and it things that didn't kind of used to mean so much, or maybe we took for granted, mean so much now. And I think we're not going to know ourselves when everything opens up and we're able to actually sit inside across the table from our best friend or family that we couldn't see, and it's going to be heaven. It is, yeah.
You're right, though. It's the little things, and we've come to appreciate those little things. So I think that is huge now. We've realised how huge that is. And going back to what you were saying about sustainability, there's little steps as well. And the little steps on just having a plant-based day in your week or whatever, all of these little steps, we've realised now really do mount up. They come together to being something big. And it's so lovely that we can come together in spaces like Bean and Bread and to do that together as a community with connection.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think, you know, there's definitely need for more of that. Because I'm not from Abergavenny, you know, I do struggle sometimes to network, and especially because we've had these last, few months, year, with everyone in lockdown and not able to see each other. But I feel like because I've had time to think and become a bit more creative about the way I want to move forward with the business. At the same time, I haven't been able to reach out to people as much as I'd have liked, to share ideas and think of ways that we can move forward together and get that message out there. So I'm really excited to do that when things lift, and move together as a community and put ideas forward, and yeah, it'll be really good to network again and get our women's networking morning back going, and I think we'll all be looking forward to that, because as well, I think, you know, that's all the that people have started to become creative, and any business idea that they've had, they've moved forward with it or opened a business. I was looking on Instagram yesterday, and there was a young girl who's started a soy candle company, and she's got 15,000 followers on Instagram, and she only started in June 2020. And I thought, wow, that's incredible, you know. And because everyone now is like focused on social media, which, you know, is a good thing and a bad thing, I think it's probably a really good time to get messages out there and kind of get your audience listening to what you've got to say.
I think it has been a time when a lot of people have turned a hobby into a business, or turned some craft thing that they did into a business, or just realized that they don't have anything else if they're in the hospitality business and they've lost that job effectively, or where they worked has closed down even, then they need to go and find something else because they need an income. They need something to survive. I was just going to say, Beverly has beaten me to it, that there is, I mentioned she's one of the people who runs the Awaken group, business club. So that's a group on Facebook. She's inviting you to join that, but also she runs the Awaken Business Club, and she's one of the people who runs Torvine Breakfast, which is an online networking group. So if you, I know that you've got little Jesse to look after, and I'm sure he takes up a lot of your time being only 18 months old. But if you did have free time to network, there are opportunities online which, you know, are just a way of keeping some of that connection. And obviously the Torvine one is a local one.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, thank you very much. I'll definitely
so I can send you the links to those.
I think there's so much out there as well that you don't know about, and sometimes it's difficult to hear of it because no one mentions it, you know, but all of this stuff is out there at your disposal. So
and you don't even know what to ask for, because if you don't know about it, you don't even know to ask.
Exactly. And I suppose it is an easier way at the minute to kind of communicate, isn't it? If there's something that we can just like log in to ask a question or share ideas. So thank you for that. Great, yeah.
Definitely. Beverly's group is a lovely one. So
amazing.
I can send you the information for that.
Yes, thank you. Perfect.
And maybe if you would send me the link, if you have do you have a specific link for the Valentine's offer that you've got going?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Then I can share that below this once I've posted it, once, you know, we finished and it's gone?
It is all on our website. It's live on our website, the menu, and just DM me or message me if you kind of want to order, but I'll for sure send you a link to that, and our plant-based menu that we're currently offering.
And I take it the Valentine's brunch boxes are for the 14th only. That's just the one day.
Yeah, we're just doing for the 14th, collection on the 13th or the morning of the 14th. And we're also kind of offering kind of additional portions if people want to celebrate it with their family, or if we had a young lady the other day ask if we can add a portion in because they're doing galantines with 3 friends. You know, so I don't just want to kind of say that it's just for couples. Like, we can cater to families or friends or whoever you're celebrating with, really, because at the end of the day, it's brunch, and it's the only kind of day we're doing it, so why not just have it at home for a change, isn't it?
And I think that's really important, because this year we just need to share the love, whether it's with our partner, couple, or if it's your galantines, I haven't heard that one before, or, you know, friends, family, whoever it is, and even do it on Zoom. You know, you can have somebody with their box in their house and somebody with their box in another house, and sharing the love across.
Many ways to do it, isn't there?
Yeah. So, Jessica, I'd love to just thank you so much for coming on and sharing so much wonderful and encouraging information, not only about Bean and Bread, but just generally on the taking care of ourselves, of connection, community, nourishing, and sustainability. So thank you again.
Thank you, Robin. Thanks for having me on, for sure. Thank you. It's been lovely.
And if you want to know more about Jessica and Bean and Bread, I will be sharing the link below. So have a lovely week, everybody. Bye for now.